We're back.
with the 8th episode, too shy of 10.
Thought we had gone. We're back.
A pretty long hiatus of about 30 odd more and a few more days.
More like 2 months. Lose counting. Let's start the countdown, shall we?
Yes,
Number
absolutely.
How staring at something blue and shiny makes you not want to kill yourself.
Ooh. Number 2. The greatest sporting event in history is currently happening, the FIFA
Greatest.
World.
It's not the greatest.
It is the greatest, right? Because the most number of people watch it, and
Yeah,
there's going to be a
we've got
lot
nothing
more,
to do.
which we're going to be talking about. FIFA World Cup.
Number 3. How the smartest man in the history of the world had died and thought, well, I've lived a great life. But now, in 2018, since everybody in 2018 is a racist, he's also a racist.
Okay, number 4. Celebrity couples are now moral policing people on the streets. Who are they? We're going to be telling
That's
you
a surprise.
soon. And number 5 is probably the most bizarre piece of news we came across on the internet, which is about an amputee and eating with his friends. More right here at the Bickering.
Amputee eating with some friends.
With his friends. Okay, so what was it about the blue light?
The blue shiny thing. So Japan in particular has this suicide epidemic of sorts, Like every year, around 25 to 40,000 people kill themselves. Something about being a Japanese that makes you want to off yourself, right? And
Something about the world making you want to off yourself.
why especially Japanese?
Yeah, because I guess they're so
It's quite cramped.
driven.
It's driven.
And they're probably the only country in the world which has gone through a nuclear attack and survived. Like a deliberate nuclear
So
attack.
every day you wake up, you're like fine, but then you're reminded of
You're like resilient.
August 6, 1945, I gotta kill myself, right? That's not it. It's
No, of
got to do a
course
lot
not.
of, the government officials in Japan have postulated that.
I mean, let's not get into why the suicide happens because that would be like a huge discourse which
Right.
we'd be getting into. But this is an interesting piece of information.
Let's not talk about why suicide happens.
Yeah, because...
Let's just quote the numbers and
No, I think
really
it's a very...
spicy things.
It's a huge topic. Like, you can't just browse through it. You have to really deep dive.
Right. So in short, people feel bad, they kill themselves, right? But what the Japanese are doing about it, they have thought, well, something is got to be done, right? So what
Oh
we
my
do,
God. Like,
what
what
we
is
do
that?
is we put our brew right over there. So
What was that? Was it a very bad imitation of a Japanese?
they've got a bad accent.
Oh my God. That just made
I
it
can't
worse.
help it.
Anyway, excuse him,
they've
but
been-
you get the point.
Wow. Yeah, they get the anyway. They're putting a blue light at the end of the metro platforms, and somehow magically stops potentially suicidal people from jumping in front of trains, which is apparently a major form of how you kill yourself in Japan. And
Yeah, I
this
mean-
has been implemented for the past 6-7 years, and there are even studies which show that this particular measure has helped decrease the suicide percentage by around 75 or 80% in these metro stations where it has been implemented, as opposed to once there's no blue light to be found. People are like, fuck, there's no blue light, I better kill myself.
But talking about suicide in Japan, it reminded me of the fact that
You have to kill yourself.
the fact that the suicide forest in Japan, like, it's so well known that there's a forest where people actually go to commit suicide.
Right.
And
Very topical.
very topical because it's been covered so much also. And in samurai culture and history,
Samurai.
it was better to take your own life, which was called a certain term for your honor. So there must be some cultural references to it as well. It might be it's deeply embedded in their culture, and then it's a manifestation of what's happening.
Right.
in
There's
real
a
life.
there's an official term for it in Japanese. I somehow read about it, but I can't recall it, which is weird because it was like 11 letters long and
Okay, we'll definitely this time for sure put it down
Achha,
on the comments.
something
Of course.
very Japanese sounding, right? And it refers to a group of people who box themselves up, isolate themselves from the society, and do it for over 6 months at a time. And it's estimated there are about 1 million of Japanese out there living inside a box.
Okay, well, enough about the blue light, and I'd like to would have liked to know that what does blue light have to do with not wanting to kill yourself?
Probably something to do with the calming influence it has subconsciously.
Or maybe it's just so annoying that you would rather not kill yourself in a blue light and would look for a better light for killing yourself.
This is the reason why you're not a scientist.
There's a reason why you're also not a scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I'm actively involved in science.
How?
Somehow.
I wonder how. So since we both
Me
are not
too.
able to figure out what may be the reason,
We don't have to figure it out. But we
are
can
swiftly moving
make
on.
a reasonable assumption, right?
Yeah, so we're swiftly moving on to the next topic, which is...
It's your topic.
Please, it's not my topic.
You found it.
You were the one who found it, okay? Which is about Anushka Sharma and Virat Kohli, who happened to be an actor, famous Indian actor, which is Anushka Sharma, and Virat Kohli, who's a cricketer. So today...
Today they were like, we've got an awesome life. Yeah, so what happened?
So apparently that's what we were talking about, right? That they were going on in their car, and they noticed somebody littering on the road, pulling their window down and throwing something out of their window. And Anushka Sharma therefore pulls this car down and tells the guy who threw this plastic, saying that, hey, you, what you did was not cool. You should not be littering on the streets. That's not
but
cool.
with a slightly more firm tone.
Why are you throwing garbage on the road? Why are you throwing garbage on the road? Yes, why are you throwing plastic on the road? Please be careful. You can't just throw plastic around like that on the streets. Use a dustbin.
Okay, so she was doing it. Her intention was probably to just be an active citizen. And Virat Kohli decides which is also her husband, decides to video it and post it on social media.
Yeah.
And what was the reaction? It's pretty divided, right? Like some
It's
people
not divided.
are like,
Anything which our Lord and Savior Virat Kohli does, it's obviously heralded as something awesome, So the majority of people are like, well done. This is how everyone should be. And even him, in fact, is saying that this is how you should be like. Whenever you see someone doing this is how you should react. No, this is a minority of people are saying, no, this is not how you should react. And that's how I feel. Not the problem with the hygiene in our country. It's not people littering on the streets indiscriminately. Sure, that happens. The attitude's got to change, but that's not the main problem, that you've got to videograph something and scold something in public and online with your millions of followers, share it with your millions of followers. That's not the way to do it. This policing.
well, I mean, in Anushka Sharma's defense, because I don't know
Right,
whether
because she's a woman and that's what you do. Right.
Because you're being judgmental and you need
She
to
was
at
the
least
one
hear me out, because I heard you out the entire time.
She was the one
who
shouting.
rolled the window down and shouted, but it was Virat Kohli who decided to film it and post it on his timeline. So it's not like she, they had manufactured the scene. He needn't have posted it. He needn't have recorded it.
That does not
could have just
stop it from happening in real life.
But somebody,
It happened
in
in real
real
life.
If somebody, this is just being civil, right?
The worst thing wasn't his post on social on
you
Twitter.
think that Anushka's saying that, hey, you should not be
She was really crude.
She was not crude. I think she was pretty okay when she said, can you not litter? Because see, it's as simple as if you're waiting on a bus line and waiting for the bus or the metro and you're in a queue and somebody decides to jump the queue, are you not going to stop the person and say, hey, I was in the queue, you're not supposed to jump it.
Yeah, but you do not fight with that person.
So she was not fighting. If you see the video, and we'll play it on
and that directly affects you. Someone jumping the queue in front of you. That wasn't directly affecting her. He wasn't throwing that poor guy, wasn't throwing it in her face.
But it was indirectly affecting everybody, because when you throw something on the street,
if you litter something,
then it affects everyone.
Suppose the streets are your home, right? The home is your street, right? we're doing a comparison over here. So you do litter from time to time. Most of the times you try to stick to whatever is the protocol in your house. But every day someone comes and takes out the garbage, right? That is how the system works. That is how you keep clean. If that guy does not show up for 10 days, which is what happens in our country, that's why our country is so dirty. It's famous for being so unhygienic and dirty. This is what's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure that these stars, okay, they're not going to jump a politician who is in charge of keeping the city or this nation clean, saying, why haven't you maintained a robust system which takes care of all this? They're not going to do that. They're going to take the easy way out. Just pick a random guy and just like shout him down.
No, I think
bully him. That's what they're doing.
It wasn't bullying.
Yeah.
And
Well,
also
talk to the guy who was at the receiving end.
Also, if you're talking about like taking the trash out and having somebody pick it out, of course it's the responsibility of the MCD, the government, the Swachh Bharat campaign to
she
really
is apparently the face of the Swachh Bharat.
To get really people like moving, right? But even if it's your house, you're not going to start littering all over your place.
Nobody
you're
does that.
You're going to put it in a certain place, right?
Example,
in the trash can. So the idea of her stopping and saying
nobody is disputing that.
Nobody
is disputing that. And if somebody is dumping tons of garbage on the road, everybody should question that guy.
But every drop makes an ocean, and every piece of plastic which you throw.
But a piece of plastic does not warrant that sort of hyper behavior.
But okay,
right.
Perhaps.
But he's still famous for being a complete ass. He has apparently mended his ways.
Anyway, the point is that there could have been a better. They needn't have like posted, and I think it was Virat who posted it on social media, didn't he? It was not Anushka.
Let's stop talking about it.
Did Anushka repost it also?
Probably not, because it was recorded with his phone, and I don't think she knows how to transfer videos.
I think you're underestimating I'm pretty sure underestimating her quite a bit right now, and you'll be like getting a lot of brickbats for it.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Hopefully
like
this,
chauvinism.
Hopefully this goes viral and
whatever.
The Anushka fans come at me. Some more social justice behavior. And this time we're accusing somebody else of racism. How about someone dead? Someone who's been dead for 60 years?
Guess who?
Or something, right? So this is the smartest man in the world. We've all heard dumb people being racist. But this time, it's the smartest person in the world. Apparently, someone got hold of his diaries from back in the day, and he speaks of the Chinese as being...
Again, like, I mean, after the Japanese, really terrible
but I'm not as smart as Albert Einstein,
now
so
Chinese,
I can be racist.
We can do away with it because let's not stereotype us. Okay, moving on.
So I'm gonna...
With a poker face.
Okay, so Albert Einstein... in his diaries referred to the Chinese people as being quite filthy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to his defense, he also like bracketed this insult and wailed it amongst a series of flattering terms like the Chinese people are very focused, the kids are great, something like that. But the matter of fact is that he's now the new racist face of 2018, apparently, in a New York Times article, I believe.
And I'm so like amazed at why we need to pick on historical data from 50 years ago when we've got enough instances of racism all around us. I mean, this is just like absurd.
It's called being progressive. Get with it.
No, it's just called being absurd because you've got no news. So any news from many years ago becomes news for you, which is like calling, and that's just ridiculous.
It is. And few Chinese people on Twitter, which is a big deal because like if you have like 6 people coming to your defense, coming to Albert Einstein's defense out of like, 2 billion of Chinese out there? So that's quite a bit, right?
I mean, in the past,
these people,
we all have a tendency to get offended a bit too much, right? Like
so
Snapchat CEO had offended Indians when he said that Indians are poor.
You cannot keep track of
Steve
those
Jobs
things. So you cannot keep
didn't
track.
ever wanted to come to India.
There's somebody every day who
Yeah.
is being
God,
accused.
that is just so lame. Huh.
Yeah, right. So a few Chinese people on Twitter have come to his defense since the guy is dead and he cannot come up with E is equal to MC square. Apparently the C stands for Chinese.
Yeah. Did you think about it before we went on
EU
air?
is
Okay,
equals.
fine. Like you.
EU
Like
equals.
you Chinese. Square. God, I don't believe I'm being a part of this.
M is a term for something filthy.
Okay, so moving on, we've established that this is
these
completely
Chinese people
stupid
have
and I agree with
said these Chinese people have said that, well, he's not wrong. He was merely observing. Back in the day, we were not the China that you know right now, which, like right now, you've got 12-year-old kids making Nikes in the basement, right? So, but
fake Nikes. And
so that's the developed China you're seeing right now. But back in the day, it was like horrible, and that's what Albert Einstein was remarking at.
I'm sure there's still pockets of like filth and everything else, etc.
Yeah, it's called China.
No, it's not just China.
Let's take a break. Why don't you guys watch this video?
Just let us know when you guys are ready to tap out.
She's not moving. She's not.
Yeah.
Okay, did you see it?
The lion is like, that's so cute, guys. Anyway, let's talk about something else. Another game. Quite boring, to be honest. But
extremely exciting.
exciting
to be
honest. Her and to about
the rest
half
of the world.
The planet.
Yeah. Unlike your like really not so exciting cricket. And that also test match. Oh,
now you know
waste of 4 days.
Now you know who's the smart one. Anyway, so yeah.
Like that's so lame.
So the Football World Cup 2018 is underway, and it's gonna be on the air for how many days?
For a while now.
For a while, yeah. See
and we just saw like the exciting match. I mean, at least I saw it, and I thought it was absolutely thrilling between Mexico and Germany. Whoa. Mexico.
Yeah, and you were like
I was so completely involved into the game. Yeah, like it was amazing from the word go, because
3 amazing counts in the past 3 minutes.
Yeah, because Mexico just did not let. It was like on point. It didn't care. It went for attacks of minute.
Yeah, they're like rabid dogs on the field.
It's better than not being a rabid dog on a field where you are supposed to like show
athletic and
they were very athletic.
attacking.
They were like really in like a great shape and great zone. So you were talking about a couple of things which even though you're a hater of the game,
all
you
of a
picked
sudden
up.
I just picked up.
Yeah, because you just
I totally didn't have to Google these facts, but
that
you cannot apparently win the Football World Cup if your coach belongs to a different country than yours.
Duh! It makes sense. I mean, I think it's a very legit rule to have.
Now we're being attacked.
Oh my god! What is that? It's a bird.
They're like,
it's a rocket. No, it's a plane.
Wow.
We live here.
I'm sorry the sense of humor hasn't improved
over
the break, but so in case let's go for another fact. So you were wondering how much do these football playing nations earn just by participating? $8 million for the participation. So you wonder how much the winner would get? It's $35 million. Run up, it's $25 million.
Wow, I'm so glad that at least you picked up something out of the games.
That sums up my preparation for this episode. So
that sums up your
over to you.
That sums up your interest in the game, which is to do with the amount of money
non-existent.
You get for playing the game.
Yeah. And
so sad.
One thing that's exciting about this World Cup is that the venue is Russia, right? So never has the been a World Cup which has been played in 2 continents at once. And this time it has been.
And what
Did you guys hear about that nationalistic politician from Russia? She was saying, "Dear prostitutes of Russia, do not sleep with foreign nationals."
What?
This World Cup, yeah.
Oh,
She has
really?
issued a statement to the general public.
Another interesting thing, which is a little controversial in these set of games, is the video assistant, which is also the video umpire during the football FIFA World Cup. Everybody's debating because previously, when especially because the game is so fast, and it's probably it's after basketball.
You're
it's
just
probably the
running,
fast
but the
game.
game is going nowhere.
The game's going somewhere, which is in that
There are no goals happening. Come on, guys, show us some goals.
God, like seriously, I think you need to be invested in the game
Show us
instead of
some
being
goals.
such a. Yeah, maybe you need to watch a few games to
You're
know and understand.
Running around for 95 minutes and
Just okay,
we've
like
got a
never
0-0
mind
on
him.
our
Never
hands.
mind him. The point is that this video assistant feature, which they've just brought in, referee. So let's see how it plays out, because it's so hard to know who gets the penalty card, who doesn't get the penalty card, etc., etc. So let's see how the games roll out and whether it becomes more
let's do it,
controversial
right?
or
Why don't
not.
we?
Besides knowing that this is the amount of money which you make for just participating in the games. Moving on from the game on the field to game of life and the kind of weird things which people do. Cannibalism. Would you eat your friend? Would you eat parts of your friend if your friend allowed you to? Would you go for it?
Depends on
In
which
the
friend
form of
it is.
fajitas, Mexican tacos. So now this is a weird, this is the craziest piece of information.
It's not
that
would
I
you
came
eat
across.
out your friend, it's would you eat your friend.
Would you eat your friend? So this guy on Reddit, okay,
Right.
2 years ago, this guy, basically this regular guy, he had a motorcycle accident, and he ended up injuring his leg, and his leg got amputated.
Yeah.
And he asked the doctor if he could take back the amputated leg, took it back home, and
I
decided,
was like, yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
well, decided that maybe
Eat it if you want.
it was a sense of closure which he was probably going to get, or some sort of catharsis, and also because he and his bunch of friends, they're into dark humor. That's what his explanation for what he did was, which was he invited these 5-7 friends who were cool with the idea of eating his amputated leg, and said, "Hey, would you rather go for it?"
This better be a hot chick and not some bearded,
What?
smelly guy
Shut up.
whose leg was being eaten.
I mean, obviously, even if you eat a chicken, you don't eat it with feathers, right? You would get rid of the feathers, so you would just eat the flesh and
I'm a
clean
vegetarian.
it. Tell that to your mom.
She's watching.
Exactly.
Right.
So this guy basically got this, and this chef also volunteered, saying that, okay, fine,
Okay, fine now. Yeah.
I'm gonna come and I'll make this a meal. And he, basically
I'm gonna come.
he
Yeah.
made fajitas for the Mexican menu, and he made fajitas.
Of course.
And he described this
Can only be
experience of
Mexican.
eating, and he thought there was a lot of dark humor in it, because 7
Totally.
of his friends were sitting and eating, and he's like, "Oh my god, I've never been inside 7 friends at the same time."
Wow. For that terrible joke, he went
And-
through all that trouble.
Not just that terrible joke, but the big question here is, there was a man. In the US, cannibalism is not not legal. It is legal in a few states, I
Right.
think. Now I don't know the numbers. And in Poland, there was a guy who was sent behind bars after, and this was ethical cannibalism, after a Polish businessman said, "Okay, fine, please eat me after I'm dead." So he was sent in prison. Now this guy says this is ethical cannibalism.
Right.
Would you think there's anything wrong, or if there is something wrong in it? I mean,
The fact that
It's really stretching it.
it's even a question, that just sums up the state of the world that we live in. Right, guys? It's even a question. Are you allowed to eat it? And to give it a term like ethical cannibalism, right? Don't let the LGBT guys get a hold of this.
Let's not get
They're gonna add a C at the end.
That is just like such poor taste, no? Like
What is that term? Necrophagia?
necrophilia.
Necrophilia?
Necrophiles.
Necrophagia is what this guy was doing. So necrophilia
Is not LGBTQ.
It's IPPP whatever.
No, actually, I think you're just digging a grave and a hole for yourself. So let's not
hole for myself.
Yeah, like which you will just like go into.
Was that a
and then,
double entendre?
No, it wasn't. So let's move on from that.
Such.
Let's ask you now, since we came across this piece of information on Reddit, and I thought it was like completely bizarre.
Do you frequent Reddit a lot?
Not really.
That's such deviant behavior.
Yeah. And speaking of deviant behavior, there's another thing which just came to my mind, even though it was not a part of our list of 5.
I think we have talked about 6 things.
No, we've talked about 5
maybe I can't
things.
count.
And this is the 6th thing and I have to talk about it because it's from the Reddit, because we've talked
as
about the
long as our
Reddit.
producers allow it, okay?
Yeah.
He's saying okay.
Okay. Yeah, so...
We've got Elon Musk over there. Is it pronounced Elon?
What was the name
Elon?
what was the name of the American psycho? Norman.
Donald Trump.
Now you're coming to this side.
Wow. This is the lefty stamp of approval.
What lefty stamp? This is the same stamp of approval. I like no labels.
You're allowed to do Trump jokes provided they are funny.
Yes. So
Which
what
they are
was I
not
saying?
these days.
They're quite funny. Did you not? Okay. Anyway, so this Reddit whole. So what is the name of the guy who was in Psycho?
The actor?
Yeah. No, the guy who was like the main. In the
Christian Bale?
Not Christian Bale. What was he called? Norman, right?
Yeah, Norman Bates.
Norman.
No, that was in Psycho.
Yeah, so
The original Psycho.
The original Psycho. So basically, now these group of scientists, they've developed an AI, and their development of the AI was to take all the crazy, completely psychotic content on Reddit, specifically psychotic content, and feed it to the AI, which they developed.
Which is artificial intelligence the uninitiated.
Yeah. So, which is, and they called him Norman. And they gave him a Rorschach's test, which they gave to other AIs as well.
Robots, yeah.
Yeah. And they found out, like, that AI could see only the most demonic and only the most completely, like...
What a cool robot.
Drew the most completely crazy observations.
Robot with a soul.
Robot who is soulless. And Stephen Hawking here had predicted that, in a couple of years, 2 years,
In a couple of years.
No, please, for fuck's sake.
In a couple of
Like,
years.
no, really.
We're gonna see really
I
twisted
really,
robots.
I'm really like,
Stephen
I
Hawking had a
apologize.
sense of humor, and maybe you should do too.
Okay, I am having a sense of humor now.
He would have been okay with it.
He would have certainly not been okay with juxtapositions
I
in
would have
inappropriate places.
But I can hear him. He's saying,
Okay, now also can you probably hear him saying something else, that he's had enough of us?
He's like, oh,
For
that
this episode
unfunny
of-
Look.
I didn't do
See?
anything.
See? It's way more
For
fun.
this episode of Bickering, have we done? Yes.
We're done. We've bickered on for way too long.